start recording. Okay, good morning. So today, let's start in child's pose. And if you need any padding for the knees, maybe have that nearby. We will be on the knees a little bit. And if you don't have padding and you're wondering what to do, you can always double up the mat. And when you double up the mat, you get a little extra padding. And that's always a nice thing to do if you need it. If your knees don't bother you, then skip it. You probably have enough padding underneath you and it's fine. So big toes together, arms out in front of you, forehead down is our traditional child's pose, balasana. But there are ways to adjust. So if you feel like the knees need a little bit more space and you feel any discomfort there or any noise, then lift the hips up until that goes away. And that's your child's pose. And if there's any discomfort in the upper body with the arms forward, you can ease your way into it. So if it's one side bothering you, you can just bring that hand in. If it's the other side, you can bring both hands in. And if arms forward isn't working at all, then you can bring the arms back behind you. But ideally, arms forward if there's nothing going on in the upper body, so we can get that opening there across the chest, shoulders, maybe even the arms for some of you. And if the hips are going down toward the heels, keep pulling them down toward the heels, keep walking the fingertips forward so you get long. Maybe lifting the forearms away from the mat and squeezing the arms together a little bit. When you squeeze the arms together, you'll feel the shoulder blades go back toward the hips, away from the ears. And the neck should feel like it has plenty of space, so it can be as long as it possibly can. Start to take a deep breath in through the nose, back out through the nose. Deep breath in through the nose, back out through the nose. One more time together, deep breath in, deep breath out. Keep going on your own. Ujjayi breath, making that ocean wave-like sound come from the back of the throat. Playing with where in the body you can send the breath. Trying to get it all over. Then start to lift the head, come forward onto hands and knees. Separate the knees so they're hip width distance apart, and then tuck the toes underneath you. And you're coming up to kneeling. So walk the hands back, bring the hands up to the hips. Toes are tucked, knees are hip width distance apart, so they're not touching. And then from here, you can either turn the hands so the fingertips point up, which is probably the best idea for most of us, especially if the wrists are a little stiff. You could turn the hands around. Oh, sorry. This is easier. Fingertips down. I felt it right away. And then fingertips up is a whole lot of wrist mobility. So whichever one you feel like is the best stretch to start your practice. And we're not going into camel. We're just going into like a baby back bend. So lengthen the quads down toward the mat. Pubic bone and tailbone are coming in toward one another. And then just lift the chest up. Gaze can go up if you're comfortable with that, but it can also stay forward. Hug those outer elbows in and just go for the length here. We're not reaching back toward the heels. We're just lengthening the front side of the body, trying to stay with the breath. And if it gets too intense, bring the gaze back forward. You can even, if the chest is starting to go back, bring it more forward. And then slowly bring the hands back down to the mat. Untuck the toes, bring the knees and the feet all the way together. And we're sitting back onto the heels if the knees are okay with that. If they're not, you could take like a blanket and put it underneath the knees, or you can just come to seated or stick with the toe tuck if you want to. So kneeling, if that's okay. Reach the right arm up, bend that right elbow, and then just grab for it with the left hand, lifting the upper body. Try not to puff out the lowest front ribs. So notice if you're going into a severe back bend with this, that's kind of the tendency. Keep looking forward so that right arm goes back a little bit more. And then we'll switch sides. Arms reach up, bend the left arm, grab for the left elbow. And you're just helping the left elbow in toward the head, looking straight forward. Opening up that left shoulder. Hug the lowest front ribs in, keep the gaze forward, chest lifted. And then reach the arms all the way back up. Bring the hands back down to the mat. Separate the knees back to hip width distance. Few rounds of cat-cow. On the inhale, reach the heart forward, lift the tail. On the exhale, rounding the whole spine, chin in toward the chest. Several rounds on your own. Follow your own breath. Eyes open or closed. You can add more movement if you want to, or stay in one spot and just breathe if that's what you need. One more forward and back. And then coming back to a neutral spine. So shoulders stacked over wrists, hips over the knees. Step the right toes back behind you and fire up that right leg. So hug that outer right hip in, press out through the right heel, hug the core in, reach the heart forward so the spine gets long. And maybe that means you look forward a little bit. Then lift the right heel up just to hip height. So a lot of us want to go way higher. Bring the heel down a little bit lower. You'll feel it more in the core. And then keep those hips level. Left fingertips come to the mat. So you're lifting the palm away from the mat. See how that feels. And then maybe you stretch that left arm forward. Opposite leg, opposite arm, or up. Take an inhale, get a little longer. On the exhale, curl, elbow to knee. Inhale, extend. Exhale, curl. Inhale, extend. Exhale, curl. Inhale, extend. Set the left hand down. Set the right toes down. Spin that right heel down flat so the right toes point toward the side of the mat. And then walk that right foot back so that the toes of the left foot point to the arch of the right. You can stay like this if you want more of a challenge, or kick that left foot out to the side so it'll come off of the mat. Left hand can stay where it is for more of a challenge, or you walk that left hand out to the left. Right arm reaches up. Spread the chest open, hug the core in. Make sure you have control of the hips. Right foot can stay down, or you can start to lift that right leg up, toes pointing straight forward, not up. And then maybe you reach back with the right arm, keeping the chest open, point the right toes, bend the right leg, and see if the foot's there. So we've been bending the knees a lot. See if it works with this pose. It's definitely different. Lengthen the whole front side of the body. Lengthen that right quad away from you. And getting into that right shoulder. And then with control, release the right foot right back to where it was. If you have it, right arm reaches straight up. Bring the right hand back down to the mat, and we come back to tabletop, all fours. Once you come to tabletop, step the left toes back behind you, fire up the left leg, the core, reach the chest forward, lift that left leg up, not too high, go lower if you're not sure. Then reach the right arm forward. On an inhale, find all the length you can. On the exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, extend. Exhale, curl. Inhale, extend. Exhale, curl. This time, inhale, extend. Right hand comes down to the mat. Left toes come down to the mat. Spin that left heel in toward the center of the mat. Walk the foot back. So the whole sole of the foot is down on the mat, the left foot. Right foot can come out to the side. Right hand can come out to the side. reach that left arm up. With the left leg down, see how much space you can create across the chest, hugging that outer right hip in. And then maybe the left leg reaches up, toes point straight forward. Point the toes back, reach back with the left arm, bend the left leg, see if the foot's there. If it is, great. If it's not, just go back to where we were. And then lengthen the whole front side of the body all the way down to the quad. Make sure you're with that Ujjayi breath to create that space. Gently release the left foot back to where we were. Left arm reaches up, left hand back down to the mat, back to tabletop, left knee down to the mat. So hands are down in front of the shoulders, fingers spread wide. Take a big hand print here, and then step both feet back behind you. So straightening the legs, reaching the heart forward, trying to get the back flat. So you don't want any rounding in the back. And sometimes we feel that in the upper back, maybe even the center of the back. Navel's going up toward the sternum. Gaze is a little bit forward. That keeps the front side of the body longer too. And then the thighs, the quads are lifting up. So it's like you're trying to lift the kneecaps forward. And then slowly lower all the way down to the mat, lying down onto your stomach. Stretch the left arm out to the side. So left hand in line with the left shoulder. Look to the right. You can rest the head down onto the mat. Bring the feet together. Pressing into the right hand, roll back onto this left shoulder, opening it up. So feet can stay together, right leg on top of the left leg. Some people like to step the right toes back behind them, pointing the knee up. That's up to you. Either one's okay. We're really focused on the shoulder more than anything else. But if you want to add the legs, you can. If you step the right foot back, bring the feet back so they're stacked, extended out in front of you, and we'll switch sides. Come back onto your stomach. Stretch the right arm out to the right. Make sure it's in line with the right shoulder. Once you have that alignment, look to the left this time. Rest the head down, feet together, and then roll back onto the right shoulder. So that left hand's really important. That's your brake and your gas pedal. You can press into it more if you want to roll back more, or you can lean into it more if you need to come out. Feet stay stacked, or you can bend the left knee, step back with the left foot. See how that changes things. If it works, stay there. If it doesn't, then you just stack the feet. And probably what you did on the first side is what's happening on this side, just to keep things even. Left leg stacks on top of the right leg. If you step the leg back, come back onto the stomach, hands down by the lower ribs, setting up for cobra. So feet aren't touching, they're hip width distance apart. Hug the outer elbows in, and then lift and spread the chest. So we've done a couple of back bends. Up to you how high you take this. Just be gentle. And exhale, release. We're doing 2 more cobras. Bhujangasana. Inhale up, cobra. Tailbone points back toward the heels. Exhale, release. Last one. Inhale up, cobra. Exhale, release. Child's pose. Come up to hands and knees, big toes together, sit the hips back. So going from that arch in the spine to the rounding in the spine. Still crawling those fingertips forward in front of you. And then look forward at the hands, come to downward facing dog. So shifting forward onto hands and knees, tucking the toes, lifting the hips up and back. First one. So most of us enjoy movement, especially in the first one, or a wider stance with the feet. So we want the feet to be at least hip width distance. And if you want to go wider than that, go wider than that. You can open up the feet to the outer edges of the mat. And that's a different experience. It's always fun to check out every once in a while. You can also get the heels down a little closer, push the hips up and back a little bit more as you hug the belly in. Then step the feet back to hip width distance if you widen the stance. Right foot steps up between the hands. Set the back knee down, one hand at a time up to this front thigh. Push the thigh away from you. So you're lifting the chest, getting into this left quad, left hip again. And then we'll take the heel of the right hand to the sacrum, that flat spot just above the glutes. Reach the left arm up. So before you go any further, pubic bone and tailbone going toward one another. So you keep the hips right in that spot that you need it. And then look up, lift the chest and reach up with that left arm. So get as much length as you can on the left side of the body. Right elbow's just pointing back. And that right hand's helping you keep the hips in place. Pubic bone and tailbone reaching toward one another. Then bring the gaze back forward. Left hand comes down to the mat underneath the shoulder. Right arm reaches up for a twist. Back knee can stay down or back toes tucked, lift the back knee. So you're in a twist either way. You decide if it's better with the back knee down or up. Right hand comes down to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Left foot steps up between the hands. Set the back knee down, one hand at a time up to this front thigh. Push the thigh away from you as you lift the chest, lifting up through the crown of the head. Left heel of the hand comes to the sacrum. Right arm reaches up. Stay here, square the chest. Tailbone and pubic bone reaching toward one another. Then lift the chest. Maybe the gaze lifts. Right fingertips lift as high as they can without taking that right shoulder with you. Then bring the gaze back forward. Right hand comes down to the mat underneath the shoulder. Left arm opens up. Feel that space across the chest and the twist. Back knee can stay where it is, or you can lift it. Good. Left hand to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, bring the feet up between the hands, coming into a forward fold at the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. 2 more of those with the breath. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Last one. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. On the inhale, circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Vinyasa, lower down halfway chaturanga, cobra or up dog, whichever one sounds better. Exhale back to downward facing dog. One more inhale here. And exhale. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, hop, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing on your inhale. Hands come together at the top. Exhale, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Lower down chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back, down dog. One more, bend the knees, look forward, feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Arms all the way up on your inhale, circle them out, bring them together at the very top. Exhale down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway, chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back to down dog. This time, bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, hop, feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Come into chair pose. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. So weights in the heels of the feet. Belly hugs in, chest is open. Gaze is forward or up for some of us. So if you can look up, great. If you can't and it's taking away space, then you just look straight forward. Come all the way up to standing. Hands come together down in front of the heart. So similar to what we did before, you'll stay standing with the feet hip width distance. You'll either take the hands so that the fingertips point down, elbows hug in, or you can take the fingertips up. See which one is better. And then as you root down through the legs, tailbone and pubic bone coming in toward one another, start to lift the belly, lift the chest. Gaze can stay forward or you can look up, but you're trying to keep the hips and legs and feet all in one line. The back bend, if there is one, is coming from the upper body. Then start to bring the gaze back forward, bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fingertips to the mat. Step the left foot back behind you, coming into a runner's lunge with the feet hip width distance apart. Dig down into the feet and the legs as you start to float the hands away from the mat and rise up to crescent pose. Open it up, warrior two. Left hip is pushing the right hip forward. So back hip pushes the front hip forward. That helps you keep the head right over the hips. Looks great. Right forearm, right thigh. Left arm reaches up and over. So extended side angle. Guide that right knee so it's going straight over the second and third toe, not allowing it to cave in toward the big toe. So that right knee and the right hip should feel like they're in line with one another, but you're driving down through that left leg. Look down at the mat, hands to the mat as you come onto the ball, the back foot. Step the right foot back, plank pose. Bring the feet all the way together in your plank pose. And then roll the heels over to the right. Reach the left arm up, side plank. You can stay like this. The right knee can come down for more support, and then you can lift the left leg if you want to do what we did before. If you want more, left foot can hover away from the right foot. Try to keep it as low as you can so it doesn't go higher than the hip. Left hand down to the mat wherever you are. Downward facing dog. So that was a lot on the shoulder. You could take a vinyasa if you want to, but holding downward facing dog might be nice too. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Same thing we did before. Hands to the lower back, fingertips down or up. Find that length in the legs. So root down through the feet, hug the belly in, and then lift navel to sternum, hug the outer elbows in, and then maybe the chest starts to spread. Maybe the gaze goes up. It doesn't have to, but you're trying to keep the hips from going back with you, just the upper body if it's happening. Bring the gaze back forward, come back up to standing, chair pose, bend the knees, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold, straightening the legs. Inhale up halfway, look forward. Exhale, hands down to the mat, maybe just fingertips. Right foot steps back, feet hip width distance apart. Start to drive down through the feet and the legs to float the hands away from the mat and then rise up with strength. Crescent pose. So shoulders move away from the ears, arms are straight. It's like the elbows are hugging in toward one another. You can even kick the thumbs out a little bit to give yourself more space across the shoulders. Open it up, Virabhadrasana 2. Spin that right heel down flat. Left foot comes in toward the center a little bit. And then it's up to you. That front heel points to the back arch, or you could take a wider stance, heel to heel. Stay even in both legs. Make sure you have the same amount of weight in the back leg as you do the front leg. Left forearm, left thigh, right arm reaches over, Parshva Konasana, extended side angle. Left knee, left hip in line, drive down through the right leg. So it's like the top of the right thigh goes back to straighten the leg. Then looking down at the mat, bring the hands down to the mat, step back to plank pose with the feet all the way together. So like one leg, roll the heels over to the left this time, side plank. Left knee can come down, right arm up, and you can lift the right leg up, or feet are stacked, toes pointing forward, or you could hover the right foot away from the left foot. Keep the tailbone going back toward the heels if you're in Vashisthasana. Hands come to the mat, and we come back to downward facing dog with or without a vinyasa. Sometimes it's nice to go to dog first, see how that feels, and then see if you need the vinyasa. You want it to be nourishing, you want it to add energy and to keep you balanced. So if it feels like it's taking away, skip them and be gentle on your upper body. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together down in front of the heart. Little different this time. So this time, right hand comes to the sacrum. So just like we did with that back knee down, get the heel of the hand on the sacrum, reach the left arm up. Root down through the legs. So just a one arm variation of this. Tailbone and pubic bone going toward one another. Lift the chest, lift the gaze. Keep those hips in line with the legs. Then bring the gaze back forward if you took it up. Bring the right hand to the right hip. Shift the weight over to the right foot. Lift the left foot and then reach back with the left arm. See if you can grab that left foot and bring it in. Right arm can reach up. And then same thing here. You're lifting the chest. Just keep the knee can go a little bit behind the right knee if you want to, the left leg, but don't come into a full back bend. Just hug the belly in. Getting your balance, looking straight forward. Then set that left foot back down next to the right foot. Left arm reaches up. Bend the knees. Sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fingertips to the mat. Step the left foot back behind you. Feet hip width. Crescent pose. Take your time. Try not to swing up. Go slow and use your strength to get there. Warrior 2. Right forearm, right thigh, left arm up and over. If you want to take it deeper, you could bring the right hand inside or outside the foot and reach up and over. Only if the hip and the shoulder are open enough for that. If it feels good, great. If it doesn't, skip it. Then hands down to the mat, step the feet to plank pose, feet all the way together. Roll the heels over to the right, side plank. Reach the left arm up. So hips lift up if both legs are together. You don't have that back knee down. Maybe you hover the left toes. Maybe you step the left toes back behind you, lift the hips up even more, and reach the left arm up and over. So those glutes are pushing the hips up toward the sky. You're on the outer edge of that right foot, and you're real light on that left foot. Maybe just the big toe. Maybe you lift the foot away from the mat. You don't even need it. Feet together, left arm up, hands down to the mat, down dog or vinyasa. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together down in front of the heart. This time, left heel of the hand to the sacrum, reach the right arm up, tailbone and pubic bone going toward one another, navel to sternum. Maybe you start to reach the chest up and back. You don't have to. And then start to bring the gaze back forward. Left hand moves to the left hip. Start to shift the weight over to the left foot. Bring the right heel to the glute. Reach back with the right hand. See if the foot's there. Left arm can reach up. So just get as tall as you can. Lengthen that right quad down toward the mat. Stand tall on the left side. Right knee can go behind the left knee a little bit. Then step the feet together, both arms up, bend both knees, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fingertips to the mat, right foot steps back, feet hip width. Take it up to crescent pose. Open it up, warrior 2. Extended side angle pose, forearm to thigh, maybe hand outside the foot. If that's feeling good, right arm up and over. Hands down to the mat, step the left foot back, feet together, plank pose. Heels over to the left this time, stacking the feet, or that left knee can come down, right arm reaches up. Maybe you hover that right foot. Maybe if the legs are extended and you don't have the back knee down, maybe you bend the right leg, gently press down into the right big toe. Use the glutes to lift the hips up, and right arm goes up and over. So you feel that length on both sides of the body, extending that left leg out in front of you and the right quad getting even longer. Then a right arm comes back up, feet stack, hands back down to the mat, down dog, and then decide vinyasa or stay here. Start to put a bend in the knees, look forward, bring the feet up. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, sit back, Utkatasana chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. So this time, right hand, right hip, shift the weight over to the right foot, bend the left leg, see if you can grab the top of the left foot, and then reach the right arm up. So same thing we did before. Get long in the legs, lift up through the chest, hug the belly in. Find a drishti, a focal point, eye level straight in front of you. If you want to do a mudra, you could bring the index finger and the thumb together on the right hand. Look forward, start to press the left foot into the left hand, reach the chest forward, and maybe you lift from the left inner thigh, coming into dancer's pose. And you're not really dipping the chest all that low. It's going forward more than low. Slowly come back up to center, right back to where we were. Knees will be side by side, still with your focal point. Left foot next to the right foot, reach the left arm up, bend the knees, Utkatasana chair. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fingertips to the mat, left foot steps back, feet hip width, crescent pose. Open it up, warrior two. Extended side angle, Parsvakonasana, left arm up and over. Left hand down, right foot steps back to plank pose, feet together, heels over to the right, reach the left arm up. Find your version of side plank. If the legs are extended, maybe you hover the left foot, step the left big toe back behind you, lift the hips up, left arm goes up and over. Back to side plank, left arm straight up, feet stack, down dog. Optional vinyasa. Bending the knees, looking forward, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Left hand, left hip, shift the weight over to the left foot, bend that right knee, reach back, see if you can grab for the foot. Left arm reaches up, get long here. So you're finding that long line from the sole of the left foot all the way up through the crown of the head. Right side of the body is totally engaged too. Find your drishti in front of you, eye level. Maybe you connect the index finger and thumb on the right hand, spreading those three fingers. And then look forward, reach forward with the heart and lift from the inner right thigh. Foot and right hand are pressing into one another. Dancer's pose. And that left inner thigh spinning back behind you. Bring it back up to standing nice and slow with strength and grace. Right foot comes down, right arm reaches up, bend the knees, Utkatasana chair pose. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Let the head and the neck go. Inhale up halfway. Fingertips to the mat on the exhale. Step that right foot back behind you and come up, crescent pose. Open it up, warrior two. Extended side angle. Any version, hand down, forearm to the thigh. Hands to the mat, step the left foot back, plank pose with the feet together, roll the heels, stacking the feet over to the left, right arm reaches up, lift the hips up, maybe you lift the right foot up just a little bit, bend that right leg real light on the big toe, use the glutes to lift the hips and reach the right arm up and over. Right arm comes back up to the sky, back to side plank, down dog. Vinyasa if you really want one. Last opportunity for one. And then step the right foot forward up between the hands. Set that back knee down. So back knee down, then tuck the back toes and see if you can scoot that back knee back any further. Maybe it's just an inch or less, but you want it as far back as you can get it. And then left hand comes underneath the shoulder. A block might be nice too. It has 3 heights just to lift the chest. This is a whole lot easier if you want to do it this way. I'll just show you if you're fine with the left hand down, it can be down. Right hand, right thigh, open the chest to the right. So that should feel pretty good, that twist in the spine. Stay here. This is a great place to be. Another option, you can bend the right leg, reach back, grab for the foot. So if you feel like that left hand's too high and it's on a block, you can lower it and you can always come down to that left forearm too. I know that works for some of you, but not everyone. It doesn't work for me. And as you hug the belly in, opening up across the chest, pressing the foot into the hand back into the foot. And that gives you that length in the quad and also a little bit of a hip opening. And if you can't grab the foot, then just keep the hand on the hip. You're still getting the twist in the hip opening. You have the foot, gently release it back down. Right hand comes down to the mat outside the right foot. Let's take half splits. So walk the hands back, lifting the toes on the right foot, reaching the heart forward. So it's a more active half splits. Hands right underneath the shoulders is a great place to start. If you feel like you need more than this, you can walk the hands forward. And if you're really craving a fuller version of splits, go for it. But if you're good here, stay here. Just try to take the rounding out of the upper back. So nice way to get into the hamstring, which some of you may have been feeling some cramping with this practice. That tends to happen when we try to lift the heel up toward the glute. And then sole the right foot down to the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step back, downward facing dog. Left foot steps up between the hands. Set the back knee down wherever it lands is fine. And then you want to bring the left side torso inside the left thigh. So you just to go a little deeper if you want to. If it feels good just resting on top, you can do that. Tuck the back toes, scoot that right knee back as far as you can. So you want to be above the kneecap on that meaty part, just above the kneecap. And then left hand, left thigh or left hip, open the chest to the left. So you feel that twist, long line up through the crown of the head. Stay here or play with bringing that right foot in toward the glute, pointing the toes, reaching back, grabbing for the foot. And one side might be a whole lot easier than the other side. Foot and hand press into one another. And you can always go down lower with the right hands, maybe even on the forearm. We'll start to come out. If you have the foot, gently release it, bring the left hand down to the mat. And here's where we'll shift the hips back, lift the toes on the left foot. You can push the heel forward till the left hip feels like it's right next to the right hip. Reach the heart forward. Hands can stay underneath the shoulders, or if you want more, either walk the hands forward, or you could take a fuller version of splits if you feel like that's where you should be. So listening to your own body is the name of the game, right? Giving it what it needs. And my body may be in a different place than yours. It probably is, along with anyone else you're practicing with. All right, come back onto the sole of the left foot, hands down, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step back, downward facing dog, feet hip width distance apart. See how low you can get those heels. Maybe they touch the mat, lift the hips up and back, hug the belly in, move the shoulders toward the hips, and then press down into all 10 fingertips, lifting the center of the palm up. And then bring the knees down to the mat. You can keep the toes tucked if you want to, coming up to kneeling. And here's where you can double up the mat. I always do this if I'm on a hard surface because I just think it feels nice. But if you feel like, you know, some of you might be on carpet and you don't even need to do this. So you want some support underneath the knees. So standing tall on the knees, toes can be tucked or untucked. If they're untucked, when you reach back, you'll reach back further. If they're tucked, you don't have to reach back as far. So that's the difference. Another way to use blocks, if you have them, is you can take them on the tallest height outside the ankles, and then you don't have to go back as far. So that's a nice little modification. So standing tall on the knees, hips over the knees the whole time, hands to the lower back, just like we've been practicing, either fingers down or fingertips up. Lift the lower belly, keep the hips right over the knees, lift the chest, and the chest goes back, upper abdomen. If you want, stay here or maybe reach back for the blocks, the heels, whatever feels like it'll put you in the best position for making the most space. And hands come back to the lower back if they went down, head right over the hips, and then untuck the toes if they're tucked, sit back onto the feet, and you just come to kneeling, close the eyes, and you can feel how the heart rate picked up, how you have to slow down the breath, feeling all that energy you got from that back bend. Which Camel Ustrasana is a big pose, but we've really been working on it. So it's a great day to practice it. Blink open the eyes, come back up onto the knees, separate the knees so they're hip width distance apart. Another good way to use the block is between the thighs, the narrowest way, and that'll keep you honest there. And then as you squeeze the block, you keep that engagement in the legs. Hands to the lower back, squeeze those legs, even if you don't have a block, and then lift the gaze, lift the chest, hips stay over the knees as you reach back. Maybe you reach back, maybe you stay right where you are. Tailbone and pubic bone going toward one another. Tone the belly. And then hands back up to the lower back. You have anything between the thighs, move it, sit back onto the heels, close the eyes, hands on the thighs, and just see how you feel now. Observe what changed with that last back bend. One more. Final one. Come back up onto the knees, use the props or don't use them however you want. Tops of the feet down or tucking the toes. And remember, you can always keep the hands to the lower back the whole time. Start to lift the quads, lift the navel, lift the chest, the gaze, hug those outer elbows in. So lower body strong, tailbone and pubic bone going toward one another. Maybe you reach back. Chest is still lifting and spreading. And you feel all that length in the front side of the body, but you want to feel it in the back side of the body too. So where can you make that a little longer? Slowly with control, hands back up if they went down. Bring the knees and the feet together. Sit back onto the heels. Close the eyes. Done with those. Time to cool down. Blink open the eyes. If you doubled up the mat, just roll it back out in front of you so you can use the whole length of it. And then keeping the knees and the feet together, come forward for child's pose. So forehead comes down to the mat, arms back behind you. You can just let them rest. So bringing some space to the lower back. With the knees together like this, it supports the lower back a little bit more in your child's pose. Then bring the hands underneath you, come back up. We're coming to seated. So extend the legs out in front of you. Once you come to seated, bring that right foot in toward the body, sitting even on the sit bones, and bring the right fingertips back behind you. Wrap the left arm around this right leg, left toes point up, and we're coming into a spinal twist. So sit up as tall as you can by pressing evenly into both sit bones. And then you can start to gaze in the direction you're twisting in. Left arm and right leg are pressing into one another. So much back bending this practice. So this twist is really nice to release some of that and get the spine going in a different direction. Then bring the gaze back forward. Step this right foot over the left leg and then grab the outer edge of this right ankle, bring it off to the side. So you're just stacking the right knee on top of the left knee. Keep the left toes flexed and then start to fold forward over the legs, walking the hands forward. So keeping the bottom leg extended, because I think it'll be nice to get that length in the backside of the leg. If this isn't working in your right knee, you can just bring the sole of the right foot inside the left leg and do it that way. But if this works, stay here. It's a different hip opening. Both are okay. Start to walk the hands back in, coming back up to seated, and you'll extend the right leg forward. Bring that left foot in toward the body. You can use the hands to get it a little bit closer. Just make sure you can stay even on both sit bones. Right toes point up, left fingertips back behind you. Wrap this right arm around the bent leg, sitting up as tall as you can, coming into your twist. Left leg, right arm press into one another. Belly hugs in. Twist comes from the upper part of the spine, abdomen area. Keeping that right leg strong. So you're still pressing out through the sole of the right foot. And gaze comes back forward. Unwind the upper body. Left foot steps over the right leg. Grab onto the outer left ankle bone and bring the foot over to the side, working to stack the knees as best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. And remember, you have the option to bring the sole of the left foot inside of the right leg if it's bothering the knees at all. And then fold forward, keep the right toes pointing up as you come down over the legs. So half Gomukhasana with the legs. Start to walk the hands back in, extend the left leg out in front of you, reach the arms up on the inhale and fold forward on the exhale. Keep the heart reaching forward. Big toe mound of the feet's pushing away from you, and the pinky toe side of the foot's coming in toward the body, toward the face. And you'll come back up to seated and either take a seated meditation to close or all the way down onto your back for Savasana. Get yourself comfortable, whichever one you decide. That really is the most important part of coming into stillness is comfort. So you can let go of the physical body and start to drop in. So put yourself in the shape you're going to be in. Close the eyes. Take one more inhale in through the nose. And exhale, Shavasana or your seated meditation. You'll start to move around the hands and the feet if you're on your back. Deepening the breath, reach the arms overhead. Find a stretch. Start to walk the feet in, bending the legs, and rolling over to one side, the right side. Cradling the head and the arm, keep the eyes closed. If you're in your seated meditation, stay right there. And if you're on your side, use the left hand to bring yourself up to your seated meditation. Sitting up tall, lengthening the front side of the body. Bring the hands together in front of you. Slight bow of the head, taking a moment to honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit, as well as everyone around you. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you for sharing your practice. And I hope I'll see you again soon.